It's like rhythm and meter got up off the page and decided to move and glide with spirit. You ever see a black man walk in the room, Morris Cole style, like keep tap dancing? I'm here. In those steps are messages, and you have to listen carefully. They trying to kill me. Stop, search, and frisk me. There are prayers in a black man's walk. Don't let them shoot me down where I'm standing. Don't let the white chalk lines find me. Don't let me die in the streets like an animal. I'm a man. I swear I'm a man. When a black man walks, a whole generation lives to see another day, another sunrise, another mouth to feed, another seed, another sacrifice saved, another poem, another hungry burning cross, another mother breathing in her son's ear. Move easy. Move quietly. Keep your head down, boy. Don't matter if you 16 or 60. When a black man walks, he is always hunted. He is always animal. He is always standing out like a living corpse. He smells like a KKK appetizer. Nuggets of his own flesh dipped in his own blood. Woo-wee! When a black man walks, he often finds white women walking closely behind him. But you can't blame a white sister for liking the way a black man walks. She understands some things and is cool with the fact that her babies will have nappy hair, even though she will not know how to comb it. When a black man walks, wait for it. Listen to the orchestra playing beneath his feet. Pay attention to the vibrations when he walks in a room. See how many faces change to fear in the presence of a black man. See how many women hold their purse so tightly their fingers grow numb. See how many men hide their eyes wishing the darkness would go away. Maybe choke itself to death. That ugly 2/3 human being, that next to nothing black dot, that useless prison black spot. When a black man walks, every day he is like Jesus, paranoid of crucifixion. Every day he is like Trayvon, knowing that his hoodie have nothing to do with his last breath. If only bullets could kill racism, poverty, and the traumas of slavery. You pay attention when a black man walks. You listen when a black man walks. His feet have a mind of their own, a compass, a homing device. 400 years of directions. Find your way home safely. Don't let Jim Crow steal your soul. Don't let gentrification lose your memory. Don't let police brutality castrate you. Do what your mama said do. Run, run, run when their teeth are already covered in blood. Do what your mama said do. Run, run, run when a black man walks. He ain't got time to walk. Death is always like, black men are the easiest to find. They are the strongest but the most fragile. They are the calm and the storm. They die like they expect to. When a black man walks, think of it as a masterpiece, a beautiful song that you may only hear once. Cherish it. You may never hear it again.
Welcome to another experience of The African Speaks. Wait a minute. There we go. Welcome to another experience of The African Speaks, where we are focused on the rise of the African within you and throughout the world. Yes, this is our social media Pan-African movement, where the African within me speaks, seeking to find those Africans with ears to hear. Can I say that again? We're always looking for those Africans with ears to hear. We are in the process of everybody preparing for Father's Day weekend. What? Father's Day weekend. Can I get a round of applause for the fathers? Yeah. Can I get a round of applause for the men? Good job, good job, good job. And the ancestors, the males who have guided us, and the sisters who have stood by us. Rounds of applause. Father's Day weekend is coming. Look. And so I was told that my box was coming. I don't know what it is. So I didn't open it yet. It ain't Sunday. So Ayan, if you're looking, I got it. So you know what I'm saying? We're gonna see what it is later. We're gonna check it out. We're gonna check it out. But definitely talking about our Father's Day. And so the title of this particular session, this is part 2. And it is the return of the king. What? The return of the king. Yes, a black man's journey home. And so in this conversation, we are dealing with the divine masculine. We talked for a while in terms of Mother's Day, in terms of the divine feminine. This time we diving in a little bit heavier and for the divine masculine. Now, the way I constructed this particular session was twofold. One, it'll be an informative. Two, it'll be a step-by-step process for black men. So mothers, if you're raising sons without fathers, this will be a good one to look at. Sons, if you are young men and you're trying to shake off that control that your mama have or the influence that your mama have so that you can find your own way. And sometimes that happens a lot where you grow up and there is no man in the house and mom is trying to make you into what she wants you to make you into be, and you know that there's something else for you. This is for you. Women, if you have men who are, you haven't, they're fathers, or you want them to father, or you thinking about being fathers, hey, hit them up and share this with them. This is going to be useful. One of the things that I found out when diving into this experience of the divine masculine and seeing myself in the footsteps of these lessons, myself in the footsteps of the experience of living within the divine masculine, there was a breakdown of words. First of all, it was a breakdown of words. And I'll say that I unlike the female versions where we're dealing with the divine feminine, and that's like a all across the world movement. There are no books. There are very little books that give step-by-step processes. There's very few men that will speak out in regards to accessing and experiencing the divine masculine within males, right? The divine feminine is a process of experiencing the divine masculine and divine feminine because these entities exist both within us, right? So I had to study and read and go through a multitude of information and books and different teachers to come up with an experience that I could share, as well as some of the practices from my own community. And so the practices of my own community is understanding black reality, first of all. But first, let's break this down. Divine. When you're dealing with the divine masculine, divine, what do you do? That word triggers the concept of the creator. Period. So when you say masculine, this is a masculine definition that comes from that which God has created. That is righteous, that is holy, that's sacred, divine. Masculine is the attributes of God that we can understand in our minds that we link to the male perspective, that Y chromosome, right? God made us organic. And so we have X and Y. XX, double X is a woman. She's got double proportion of her power of who she is. Man is XY. We are supposed to be able to somewhat understand the black woman. And then we have that Y chromosome that sets us apart. And so in that space, we look at this divine masculine and say, well, how did that, where is that in the black community? And we said that, before anything and everything else, we have been under such traumatic experiences in the last 400 years that we don't have a clue. The majority of us who are functioning as black or males and females, We're not going to say men and women yet, but males and females in this country or in the diaspora are suffering from such trauma that we have been disconnected from the divine part of the concept of divine masculine and divine feminine. And so we did not say that, and we definitely said that in this journey, the divine feminine experiences has that level of trauma, and that she's clearing up her womb, the womb of the mind, the heart, and the reproductive system from these experiences and her current experiences. And now we have to understand also that in these experiences, these current experiences that you have in your current generation, your current womb trauma, they are the extension of ancient trauma. They are manifestation of 400 years of trauma that's in your DNA. Well, my uncle did this, and my boyfriend did that, and yeah, but understand that they are manifestations of trauma. 400 years that we have not yet shaken off the shackles of colonialism and slavery. Everything that we do when we encounter each other, it is the encounter of how this still affects us, and or how we're breaking free of it. So you have that withdrawal symptom. Some of us is on the latter side of healing. Some of us who are holier than thou don't even know that they need healing. And I have tons of friends like that. And they don't get it. They can speak on it, but you can't see it in the living. Now, one of the things about this traumatic experience, it was purposeful. So we have to destroy the black family. In order for us, and this is European society, to gain control for perpetuity for thousands of years, we have to gain control of the black family. We have to destroy it. Why? Because they understood that if you educate a man, you educate an individual, but if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. They understood the value of the black woman. Now, when someone looks at you and looks at your history and look at your culture and looks at the empires that you build and the wisdom that you have, they have to analyze how to tear you down before they can tackle you. They have to know how to destroy you before they can take you over. We talking about the return of the king today. And they have to know these things in order, there we go, in order to gain control of your mind. Because we said that this was a attack on method where they said we want to keep the body and take the mind. Why would they want to take the mind of the black man? Because he knew how important she was to him. You can't destroy a people when you have a man who understands that they come from the divine. And from her, we share thoughts of the mind, we share emotions of the heart, and those thoughts and connections of the mind and heart produce from the womb nations. And you see Africa as a continent. It's not one nation, it's multiple nations. You have the United States. No, there's still one country. But you have Africa, the continent, which is a multitude of nations. And they said if we can destroy the family, we can destroy those nations. Now, the first thing they had to do in terms of that, they said we need to make a plan. And we discussed this. We said that if they can tear the black woman's trust, so we're going through what it takes for the king to rise. Some of us have fathers. Some of us have dads. My dad. Fatherhood is a whole different experience than having a dad. And a dad is a different experience than having a father. And we can judge that. And how you celebrate will determine whether or not you're celebrating your dad or you're celebrating a father. The return of the king is what we discuss. We're discussing what it takes for a black man to embrace his responsibility that God gave as being a family man. What did we have to fight to get to a point where we love on our children, we love on our sisters? Some of us have fathers or dads and they don't have fathers. They didn't get to see the experience that it means when a man is in love with a woman and his woman, when he's willing to fight for her, protect her, and stand for her. A lot of children didn't see that. Why? Because this right here was masterful. And a lot of times, sisters still hold it against that man, not realizing that she, in her own experience, chose a male who had not experienced the journey home, the journey to his natural self. And so for us to get here, when they pulled the woman they pulled her away from her husband first. You see that when he ain't even there anymore. The first picture. They had to pull the wife away from the husband, meaning that we're going to sell your children. Your husband's not going to be there to protect you, to stand for you, to speak for you, to fight for you. He's not going to be there. And we're going to let you watch us torture and kill him. And then we're going to take your child. And then the one that you're pregnant with, we're going to take your unborn. And then you're going to realize something, that he can never help you. And for perpetuity, they said the black woman will always seek independence from a black man. Always talk about how she can be independent and she don't need nobody. Always sit down and, I got to do this for myself. And then develop a conscious, a spiritual wall and a physical wall that separates her surrendering to the experience of being a wife and a woman and a female, barely a female. That's hard. And she said, she'll never connect to a brother. She'll never connect to a brother. And so in that space, you have these men in this experience of slavery and colonialism, men who were able to still be fathers in this day had to unconsciously fight against that trauma that I do not own. I do not have a connection to my woman. He can do with her as he pleases and he'll kill me. And so 400 years of not feeling a connection to a woman. You want to know why we have less fathers in their homes? We're fighting against this trauma that no one has ever talked about. Not a one minister have talked about it. Why? Because most ministers are men and they don't want to acknowledge it. You have ministers who have tons of children with no relationships. Why? Because they still don't want to deal with the fact that in this experience of 400 years, society was set up for you to feel like you had no rights to the say-so of your own children and how they would go. That's why you have men in houses that won't speak. We're talking about the return of the king, the journey home, what it takes for a black man to be a father. It's heavy. And it's Father's Day coming, where we get to sit down and send gifts and applaud. We're applauding. I want you to be aware of how hard we applaud. What are we applauding for? What is this journey? Where did this journey take us? Where did this journey? And we're fighting against this to get to this. We're fighting against this to get to this. We don't hate you because we want to hate you. We were conditioned not to stand up for you. And we watched how they treated you. And so for 400 years, we copied the only male that we had an example of, because we weren't considered for 400 years. Can you imagine walking around this earth not be considered a man, but is it 3/5 of a being? What? This is psychologically endowed in all of us. Even if you have women who raise their sons and their sons have been, you see mama paying bills and then you choose not to pay bills, what happened? Something kicked in. Something kicked in. And so in this space of getting there, we would sit down and say, we knew in the African spiritual concept of family, community, empire, spirituality, Black men had to go through ceremonial rites of passages to receive a woman. We had to go through ceremonial rites of passages to receive our children. We had to go through spiritual journeys and hardships, physical hardships and struggles to prove to our elders that we deserved family. So now, removed from slavery, we don't go through anything to prove that we deserve the right to have a wife, children, and responsibility of care. It takes these experience, ceremonies, and rites of passages to get to this experience. The fullness of a king coming home. And sometimes we've gone through this where Black men who have not been a part of a ceremony has that voice of a king that speaks within his consciousness, has had opportunities where there's been something small saying, I need you to do different and I need you to do better. That's deep spiritual breakthrough. That is an extreme spiritual breakthrough when that happens. So when you're celebrating dads, when you're celebrating fathers, when you're celebrating men who represent dads and fathers, understand that have not gone through an official experience, understand that that's straight up divine breakthrough through a subconscious of what it means to be a king, or at least a man. Because man and king is two different things. What are you saying, brother? A king has his own empire. A king has his own land. A king has his own people. A king has his own resources. A king has his own everything. A man slowly transitions into kinghood. But even a mature man, because you have levels to this game. We're born males. Males is the sex. And I don't care what anybody says. If you have certain extremities, you are straight up male. Because you say, my spirit, I feel like, well, how about this? Spirit doesn't have agenda. You think it does. It's just spirit. It's just an entity of spirit. Now, your soul has a character. Your inner soul does. That's your personality. That's the personality of the spirit. Then you have an avatar. Your avatar is male. Your character is a part Black. The journey I'm in. Everything about my personality. Then you that pure spirit, pure energy, pure power. It's the highest form when you're pure power. And so some of us males were able to get to a point where we understood responsibility, we understood love, we understood a lot of those things. I can't say I was one of them. I can't say I was one of them. I could say that I had to go through the journey to get there. And so this week, let's give an applause for those who had the spiritual breakthrough. For me, it was my trauma that spoke to me. And I told y'all about my trauma in terms of my level of abandonment, and took my abandonment as a means of strength. I redefined it in my head when I was 7. It was what told me to man up. And I did it. So now I want to break down so you know what it means for a brother to get to a point where he is a father, where he's a dad, a father, and a king. All of this are states of consciousness. All of this. It's not about what he does, it's the mindset of what he does. Some brothers pay bills out of a state of responsibility, not of a state of an emotional attachment or emotional connection. It's just a state of responsibility. That's a dad. A father is a deeper state of that masculine, divine masculine. Levels. You got male, you're a boy. That's deeply immature, unaware of everything. Then when you're a boy, you move up to a man. From manhood, you go through your rites of passage and you become a husband and a father. And when you reach that fatherhood, you can be a father or a dad. Dad is a lower level of consciousness than the father. And that fatherhood transitions you straight up to your kingship. So there's levels to this game. Everybody just doesn't jump in at the same pool. And so for those sisters who are looking for step-by-step processes to help raise these sons who don't have dads, for those brothers who are looking to be more father than they are dad. Dad is emotional, dad connects, but a father does that and then some. And then that king is straight up walking in divine power. A lot of difference. It's a state of consciousness. And so I put together steps where you could see if the man that you chose or the man that you're choosing is moving toward kingship, moving towards, well, we'll go from is not a boy. How can you tell if he's not a boy? How can you tell when he becomes a man? How can you tell when that man walks into the ownership of he is capable of being a husband? How can you tell when that husband is able to be a father? And how will you tell when that father is really a king? Stages. Sisters be talking about their discernment and how they pick their dudes, and they always picking the same wrong dudes, and I be laughing at them when I be asking questions because they can't answer the questions. Because they didn't even understand the journey that they're on in terms of being female to girl to woman. And woman, you got, it's a lady. There's different kinds of women. Mother, queen. Powerful stages of consciousness. So stage one, when we're dealing with divine masculinity and walking in your divine masculinity and things that men that have to go through to experience the return of the king within, we have to examine the wounds surrounding our masculinity. Real talk. Because a lot of times that we've been taught falsely what it means to be a man by the world. We've been taught falsely what it means to be a man around the dudes in the neighborhood. We've been taught falsely around the falsehoods of what it means to be a man from our own mamas. Because a lot of us wasn't taught nothing by our dads. And the sisters call them sperm donors. We wasn't taught nothing. And so what does society teach us? We have to examine the wombs around our masculinity. What does it mean when you say you a man, and see, is that a healthy term or healthy behavior or an unhealthy one? Have you examined the wombs Can you be and allow yourself to be open, communicative, and vulnerable to your brothers, to yourself, to your brothers, and to your woman? What's masculine? You don't cry, you don't love, you don't hug, man. Please, I grew up, man. I would never hug my mama, would never kiss my mama, would never hug my sister, wouldn't say I love you. What? My Y chromosome was crooked and capitalized because a man shows no emotion in my book. Well, my broken book. How I used to be. He doesn't show a thing. You have to, and everybody has different wombs. Every man womb don't show up the same way. Every man's trauma doesn't show up the same way. Has he examined the womb surrounding his masculinity? What? That's a lot to ask a brother. That's a lot to ask a sister. Do you know anything about that brother? 2, taking self-responsibility. At a certain stage, when you realize what was done to us, and an intellectual approach to what Black reality is in this day and time, have we taken self-responsibility for the things that we need to clear up? Because when you start realizing that you're wounded, who gonna fix it? It's up to you. I know people, male and female, trying to get to this experience, but they're still pointing the finger. Still pointing the finger. But then as you point the finger, you understand who was your outer enemy. They can throw their hands up and walk away because what they did was they unleashed an inner enemy that they don't even have to deal with. They're going to let you destroy itself. And that's exactly what society has done for us. So most of this journey is always when I was 19, I went to go see my real father. I'm sitting with my real father and I'm asking him a question. How could you leave me? And at 19, I had, 19, I had my son. And I asked him and I told him, I said, Pops, I love my son with everything I got and I can't see myself leaving him. And it's hard for me. And this girl is making it hard for me to be there. And I'm fighting every bit of the way that I could be a father. I could be a dad. I didn't understand what a father was. I wanted to be a dad. And in that space, he said, son, I got to tell you what this battle's about. He said, this battle is not about spirit and flesh. It's about spirit and spirit. It's about a battle within. Your greatest enemy is going to be yourself. He said, when you get to understand what we are going through out here, the war is within the principalities. And if you can battle within, whatever enemies and ever situation that sits outside of yourself, you'll be able to conquer them because you conquered your worst enemy, which is on the inside. So self-responsibility. He points no scapegoat for anything. No excuses. He is the last word. It begins and ends with me. Doesn't that sound like something? Where it begins and ends, that sounds like the Alpha and the Omega, which is the third step, contacting your inner father. You know, a man is a man is a man is a man when he is in tune with the God within himself. Now, as Black people, men and women, we all have that inner God within. And so you have to always go into yourself. This is a spiritual journey. Womanhood and manhood, fatherhood and motherhood, kingship and queenship is a spiritual journey. It's reclaiming the identity that God gave. So in a lot of things, you have to have a man who is not fearful or hesitant to go within and deal and find and bring out the God within. That's deeply important. This is what, in order, if you got a dad who says he don't, my stepdad was like, I don't believe in God. Give him a little bit more life, a more struggle, a more success, more challenges, more hurts, or more pain. He believes. It took God whipping his butt before he caved in, but he slowly found a piece of his inner father. I know one thing when I was dealing with my abandonment as an adulthood through my stepdad, I had a mentor say, my father was on and off drugs. And he took the Christmas money and smoked it. And so I was going to work that day knowing that I would have to work for my family and my mama. That two households. So my boss and my mentor at the time said, what's wrong? And I told him, and he said, sounds of abandonment. He said, so let me hear what you would say if your father was here. And I said everything I would say when my father was here. He said, now, hold up, son. He said, now let your inner father speak to you. Let your spiritual father speak to you. Because name a time and a place and a situation and circumstance where I wasn't there. Because I can tell you that your father is telling you. He was always there in the midst of your journey. You just wasn't aware of him. So if anybody has an abandonment issues, it is the God within and the God that surrounds you because of your awareness. You don't know that I'm here despite what you're going through. Maybe what you're going through is what you need to hear. Maybe what you're going through is what you need to hear. Who knows? But you have to contact your inner father to move from these levels. From male to boy, from boy to man to husband, from husband to dad, from dad to father, from father to king. Levels of consciousness, and you can't do it without your inner father. Even the concept of God has to change. Because it says your inner father, right? Well, in European spirituality, you don't focus on the God within. You only focus on the God outside you. So separated, and it's a conditioning of separation. If there's a concept of separation in your spirituality, you know that you're still being controlled by outward forces. That's why we have part 4, the step 4. You have to deconstruct your conditioning. Deconstruct your conditioning. We sit down and we say in my church community, the community, the church has to be a transforming agent. You can't get black people to do anything together until you can clear out the conditioning mindset that they have. And you have to be able to break that down. So any father who was a father, when you're celebrating Father's Day, there has been some sense of deconstruction of 400 years of mind manipulation. Right? Why? We say keep the body, take the mind. In order to be a dad, you have to reclaim your mind on some level. In order to be a parent, you have to reclaim your mind as a black man on some level. We're talking about celebrations of a black man and the struggles he went through to understand what is he supposed to stand for. To comprehend what he's supposed to stand for, you got to deconstruct your conditioning. And you can see that in a black man. Is he a part? Is he in the world and of the world? Then you got a male. Sorry, brothers. But then is he in the world, but he's not of it because he doesn't show the reflections of what slave mind would show. Is he reclaiming pieces of his mind? And then there's plateaus. So sometimes you can get to an extent and not break through a wall, but there's levels to this game. There's levels to the survival of the black man. There's levels to the survival of the black black family. There's levels to the survival. You survive until you get to a point of living. And when you're at a point of living, that's when you king and queen. Because living is controlling everything around you. Everything. Not assimilating. Let's get that straight. If you're perfect and great at assimilating, yeah, you're not man. You're not father. You're not king. You're an assimilator. Sorry. I can be hard sometimes, but that's what it is. When we're looking at it and looking at what it means for us to be a real family unto God, a people unto God and the Creator. When we talk about kings and queens and returning to the value of the divine masculine and divine feminine, divine means godly. Godly masculinity will see any man will see himself as deserving full control over what governs his life with his people. His family no longer is just his household. It's everyone that looks like him, because everyone that looks like him deserves to have more. And so you are picking it apart. The decontamination processes in our church community, PAOCC. Let me if I could drop this for a second so you can see it. Where you at? The shirt, which is our church pastor, presiding bishop, memory of Albert B. Cleage Jr., Jamoja Baby Ajiman. Look him up. Powerful, powerful, powerful. He said that we can't move life forward for black people if we don't develop institutional power that focus on the transformation of the black mind and the black spirit. Black people can't achieve anything with the mindset that they have. That was the failure of Garvey. There was no transforming agent in the process of liberation. So in the process of liberation, you have to have these programs that decontaminate the mind. And if you eradicate these programs, you will not be decontaminating the mind. Communities that talk about liberations without classes and programs that decontaminate the mind don't liberate. That's just me. Concept of Jamoja Baby Ajiman. Now, in the process of deconditioning the mindset, sometimes you may not know what to do. Sometimes you might need direction. Sometimes you might need support. Of course. Step 5. Then you find a masculine teacher. You see my shirt? You find a teacher. You find a teacher that you admire, a teacher that you can connect with, that you can mirror image over, somebody that walks in a state of wisdom. And for some dads and some fathers who had nobody, who did they have? The inner father. And I know for me growing up, I would attach to men. And it only pulled from what them I felt was good. I wasn't blind. At 7 years old, I was not blindly being led by nobody because of the words my father gave, my dad gave. He said, son, this is your house. This is your family. You have the responsibility of taking care of them because I'm not coming back. I told y'all the story. 7 years old. And so I had to immediately dive in to find my inner father. And speak always to my inner father. Sometimes I heard my ego. Sometimes I heard the divine. Sometimes I heard broken ancestors. Depends. Now, but masculinity, right there. Find your masculine teacher. Pick somebody, anybody that is worthy of leading you to you understanding who you are in the Creator. The next one is connect to your inner warrior. Now this one is a little bit different. This one is the one that battles. Just the one that fights. I don't know if y'all seen it, and I'm always connected to my inner warrior. I found a face that I said I could rock with. And there's another one that I have too that I saw online. Warrior mode is the most powerful mode that you can access. People be like beast mode. I'm beast moding it. And I'm like, why? Because I've seen black men who were warriors ride lions into a battle. Only a true warrior connected to the earth, God, animals, everything could do that. But you have to connect to your inner warrior. You got to have that a little dog in you, they say it. A little fight in you. Because this is battle. We are in legitimate warfare. This does not change. We are in legitimate warfare. Hey Imani, how you doing? One love. Excellent, excellent, excellent program. Thank you, Imani. Giving you a shout out. One love. This is legitimate warfare. And you can't come through this thing if you're not in warrior mode. And so sometimes you might have to sit back and figure out, what does that look like? Who does that look like? What does that feel like when you're tapping in to your inner warrior? That person you go to when it's time to go to war. In our community, it's called the Maccabee. Now, in the story, in the biblical stories of the Maccabee, in the history of the Bible and the Black Nation Israel, and if y'all hip hop, Wu Tang, the Bees, that's what they referring to. The Maccabees was the Jewish soldiers, and they did battle and war with great armies, and they were the first creators of guerrilla warfare. And they only came out when needed. Other than that, they were farmers, they were teachers, they were ministers, priests, winemakers, carpenters. And they came out, and it wasn't the issue of violence. The issue was the issue of peace and assertiveness. My inner warrior, when she battles, or when she does something, my inner warrior, sorry y'all, my inner warrior comes out, and sometimes it gives me a deeper calm. It gives me a more relaxed experience, and it allows me to focus in times of trauma. Not trauma, but times of peril. I had one of my godsons. He got shot, and he called me the second he got shot. And when he called me the second that he got shot, I was like, "You okay?" He said, "Yeah, I know how to handle this. I know how to get through this. I know how to access the inner warrior in me." And he was calm through the whole thing. Most people said when we got him to the hospital, they said individuals don't make it through this. And I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, individuals do not make it through this experience. And so he had to call on that experience to be able to just to live. And I was like, wow. Understanding how to contact your inner warrior is not all about violence. Sometimes it's about strength, and most of the time it's about peace. And depending on how you access it makes a whole lot of difference. The next one is being able to be assertive and stick up for yourself. We have individuals in our history that showed us how to be men. Period. How to get to that point where we're dealing with the divine masculine. We have had individuals that helped us get here. And so in that space where individuals are helping us get there, following their footsteps, being assertive and sticking up for who you are. And sometimes who you are is not about just your person. I always tell people my new revelation for this year was that my I is plural and my we is singular. Meaning that when I'm sticking up for myself, I'm not sticking up just for me. I'm sticking up for every black man that has melanin, or every man or male that has melanin in their body. A deep sense of chocolateness. I fight for us. And then stick up for yourself also with self-care. Get your sleep, get your rest. Input information different. Sticking up for yourself goes a long way. Because no one wants to be pushed around, especially when you see them pushing around your woman. Sometimes it's time to go to war. So you have to call on that inner warrior and be ready to be assertive to stick up for yourself. Divine masculine. We're here for a reason. And in that reason, we also always have to find a way, one, to also stand in a confident way. When you walk in a room, people can tell when you weak or when you powerful. They can tell when you mean it or when you don't. When they see you, they see how you walk, your demeanor. Spirit has a means of showing itself from the inside out. You know men and you know boys. They say game knows game. Right? Sisters be like, game knows game. So that means you game too. And that's why you still pull game. Because game knows game. Well, men know women. Women know men. It's a confidence level. Some people are confident out of their ego and overconfident. Don't open the door for that real connection because they still in their confidence, only overconfident because of fear. You got to know when it's natural. You got to be able to stand in confidence. And sometimes standing is not, it's how you move. It's how you move. And in that space, that's number 9. Not being passive and start being active is how you move. In the journey to where you're dealing, locating, and interacting with your inner father, you will get downloads. You will be given information to help you take you where you need to be. You will be walking in a particular place in a particular way in a state of confidence. Why? Because you're guided by your inner father. This is a level of faith. This is a level of faith and assurance, not even faith, a level of knowing. Knowing who, when you got a father who stuck it out, who put the fight up, who taught liberation, who taught self-determination, who taught black excellence. It is in a place where I'm standing in the knowing of who God called us to be. And I'm going to lead you to what God wants you to do, not what I want you to do. Fathers don't make kids do what they want them to do. Hey, what? Unless your bloodline has a calling and anointing on the bloodline. Some of us have not been together enough to know what our bloodline is. Our bloodline legacy to this world is. We don't have even, I know my family has it. We can barely get together to talk. And that was on my thing. They were calling me because we had a family reunion meeting. I just opened up the family reunion meeting. So if y'all listening, y'all get ahead and log in. I'm doing something else. Sorry, y'all. Love you. Standing in confidence. Had to do this one, y'all. Had to do this one for Father's Day. And so it has a thing of standing in your knowing. You're knowing in the identity of what God has given you. And so when you're standing in your knowing, you can stop being passive. You can be proactive or just active. Make your move to make your mark. Procrastination is the sign of your conditioning. Procrastination is where you have not analyzed the womb around your trauma. That you haven't examined the wombs around your masculinity. I'm scared to move. You got to examine. I'm scared to act. I'm scared to speak. God moves, acts, and speaks to create the life he chooses. And being sons of God from divine thought, we move, act, and speak in authority. Let's talk about what it means to celebrate Father's Day. Understand what it took for your father to counteract what was put in him not to be there. For men who were fathers for sons that weren't theirs and daughters that weren't theirs, that you can't even tell them if you see them walking down the world. You can't even tell it. Real talk. I stand next to my stepdad and we start smiling, laughing, and acting. People cannot tell it that's my dad. They be like, y'all look just alike. They saw the spirit where he decided to, because he gave me some wrong, but he gave me a whole lot of right. Stop being passive and get it done. Anytime I have a problem, and one time, last time I had an issue, that I called my father. Real talk. I was expecting my friends to show up to help me with something, and I called my father, and I was like almost depleted, like, yo, man, all I do for these people, and I called for a favor, and I couldn't even get this favor. They didn't show up. And he said, so who else is there with you? It's me. He said, do you need anybody else to get it done? Maybe you can't get it done as fast, but can you get it done? And I said, you know I can. He said, well, then you know what you got to do. And he just hung the phone up. Was no goodbye, son. No conversation, son. No nothing, son. It was like, get the job done. Man up. I always tell people the Pan-African Orthodox Christian Church Shrines of the Black Madonna was the location where I completely learned how to man up. And now I'm working toward my kingship. What? Building something where the resources come 100% controlled by the kid himself. We're getting there. We're getting there. I got a surprise for y'all coming very, very soon. And so the last one, which is a bonus when dealing with divine masculinity. And so we've seen 9 areas where black men had to consciously or unconsciously work through some things to get to the inner father, to be a physical father or dad. Reasons why we want to celebrate. Now, a lot of times we don't celebrate Father's Day as hard as we celebrate Mother's Day. Why? Because mothers are just awesome. We just said it. If y'all missed it, y'all are part of a universe connected to the universe the way we have never been. There is no spark of light in us on conception the way it was God saying, let there be light. There is no development of life in us. We can't feed nobody. If something happens to a mother after she has the baby and it's the father takes the baby, I can't feed him. I can't. Which hurts. This is you, queen. This is you. And that relationship that child has in that mother's womb, she is definitely his first teacher. Singing to him, interacting with him. We can only do it when they're here. Of course, we talk to the belly where the point where they remember our sound waves. We're by sound. Hey, when you do that in a room of children, and you go, hey, your kid looks, and all those kids keep playing because that hey tunes into one child. That vibration's a beautiful thing. Love being my most powerful experience in life has been fatherhood. Reaching into the depth of the Creator and understanding what it means to give life back to that which gave me life. Fatherhood. Having them have the experiences of being, not just us saying it, being children of the Creator, the daughter of the Most High. I wrote the last letter I wrote to my daughter. I called her the daughter of the Most High because she's earned it. She's been through her rites of passage to find out who she is, and she's on her journey, and she's succeeding well. And I've gone through the 9 stages. Now we're gonna go through one more ways to do it, but that's the bonus. for father manhood and fatherhood. It's a state of consciousness. It's consciousness. Sister told me when I first started this journey, she said, every child you see belongs to you. It takes a village. Never look upon a black child as though that you are not an influence. That's a whole different level of consciousness. So some of us black men are being applauded this weekend because the level of consciousness that we have been able to break through. And so I applaud you, black men. I applaud you. Last not least, ninth way for us to be able to break through to experience our divine masculinity is connecting to nature itself. Then you have men who fish, you have men who hunt, that side of God, camping or glamping. But men who can sit still in the wonder of God, not traveling for the sake of traveling. Some people just travel for the fun of it. My biggest event in traveling, which is driving 90 hours across this great country, was seeing what God created, how he carved rock, seas, lakes, the sky rolling. Just the most beautiful thing. Spending time in nature. Understanding that this is the manifestation of who you are. You are connected and a part of the same spiritual entity that created the life around you. That same entity that is outside in which you see is the Father, the inner Father, the Father within. There have been some men who have made this journey that improved their ability to make it home. And one of the reasons why all of this journey is so important is because European society knew who you are. They're not scared of a black woman making money. They're not scared of a rich black man making money. They're not scared of a power couple making money. They're scared of the love we share from an authentic place of the divine. When the divine masculine comes together with the divine feminine, and you create an experience of resembling the source. The identity of a black couple is to resemble source. The power that God placed within to show how well you can manipulate and control the things that are happening around you. In the couple, in the exchange, when a child sees mother and father together, working, building, creating, they're witnessing source. The power of two. I said that's I can't wait to experience the power of two. Why? Because in that you experience the power of the Creator. Source. So let us celebrate our black men this weekend. Let us celebrate our black fathers. Let the queens come out and say thank you. Let the mothers come out and say thank you. Let the daughters come out, say thank you. Let the sons come out, say thank you. Because they're trying to destroy this right here. They're trying to destroy the love. Because the black man at heart, at its pure, at its purest form, when he's divine masculine, understands the value of the black woman and would never desecrate her and will always stand for her. Because what she produced out of her is the other children of God that will give the Creator praise. And that is why we stand. She is what God uses to give life to this planet. Who wouldn't want to fight for that? Stand for that. Represent that. King. A kingship is something totally different. That's when you, let me do this. When you're dealing with the issue of when a king comes home. A king sits down and he maps a way to build kingdom, to build community, to build his own estate, to control all that is around him, to provide the basic needs to his family, which is food, clothes, and shelter, to have all resources provided. King Marcus Garvey, king. Malcolm, king. Louis, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, king. Anybody who's fighting for the liberation of black people, king. And it's not just a title, it's literally about what you do, king. So if anybody's in your family, anybody in your community who you see king in, wish them a special Father's Day. Again, this thing has layers to it. This thing has layers to it. And I've been working on getting my crown. I can't wait to wear it. They say, there's, there, you shall wear a crown when you cross over. Yeah, I want to wear my crown now. King. Let's build. But this weekend, yeah, let's celebrate because we are watching the African, the rise of the African and our men this weekend. And that doesn't mean that our men are sometimes aware or not aware of their spiritual awareness that our dads. But if they went through any one of those 9 or 10 stages, to have a sense of awareness of their responsibility and they're fighting for you, a generation to take it over. There has to be a generation of sacrifice so that we can get to a point where we have a generation for those who truly do everything that goes towards the liberation of black people. There's going to be one generation that is unified, that you cannot stop them from reaching their king. And so I see you, Nicole Lindsay, saying thank you, kings. Nicole Lindsay is a sister that I know whose family straight up since 1900s, 1919, they acquired heaps loads of land so they could provide food, clothes, and shelter and feed the generations to come. And a lot of generations they've been fighting for this, trying to sustain and maintain this land. It's gotten small, but now you have Aunt Pam or Aunt Pat, where it's coming out. She's dropping the breadcrumbs for the next generation to get it. Next generation to get it. Why? Because the rise of the African with them is happening. Yep, Aunt Pat. I texted her today. We getting ready. Don't get shocked when you see her. But Aunt Pat, and she's trying to revive the concept of self-determination, legacy, and a bloodline. Some of us don't have that. I don't have that. We have family members that sell off property that didn't have rights to really sell it off, who didn't connect to legacy. All they did was connect to themselves. So now we scrambling to build legacy. Some people, we want generational wealth. For what? To be perfect, great slaves? Or to live in a place where we control the basic necessities? That's when you know you enter into maturity. When you know you have to live in an environment where you control your food, your clothes, your shelter, your security. Ain't that something? You control all of it. Because if you're a true man, you know that you're not supposed to be living in a country controlled by somebody else that doesn't like you. Why would you do that? There's only one king in a castle. The only king that should be in our castle are the ones of the African diaspora males, men. We don't want males running the African diaspora. African diaspora men. And that would lead us to the African diaspora kings. There's levels to this consciousness thing. I'm going to enjoy this Father's Day. I'm going to celebrate the kings in my community as I celebrate me as well. Because it's hard, y'all. Maybe one day I get me and my dad up here and we talk about the journeys of what it took for us just to be in the house. And even if when we weren't in the house, to maintain a responsibility. Not easy. But we fight. And that's worth celebrating. So hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully, if you did, like, comment, share. Hopefully we can have more brothers in here talking, about their experiences. We'll get to that. Next week we're gonna see if we can have Auntie Pat here. And so I'm gonna send her a text message tomorrow and see if I can work that out. And so that's it. The legacy, because you go from divine feminine to divine masculine to family legacy. Connected dots. One love.